Welcome, and thank you all for coming. I'm sorry, I'm going to be taking these off and putting these on frequently because I'm still not used to them, so sometimes I can see out of them and sometimes I can't. Thank you for coming, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Thank you. It's nice enough weather for you to come out. My name is Garrett. I'm the chef down at the Community Services Center right down the street there. A couple of you, if you may know me. We do a lot of work with the community down there. We have a food pantry, we have transportation, we have all kinds of movies that we show that are free. If you are not getting our newsletter, you can sign up for it on the email list here. It's free and we'll be able to send that to you. And if you'd like, we have some copies here of our Pathways program that tells you what's going on each month. So thank you, Katie, for having me over. Thank you to the friends for getting this wonderful card here together today so we can do this. Today we are going to be going over just a couple really basic sauces, but it's something that can really kind of change, you know, your dinners in a very short amount of time. It's very simple. What I tried to do was kind of strip away all the fun French culinary terms and everything so that it's kind of more attainable and accessible for everybody. So you should have 4 cards in front of you right now. One of them is a roux. That is what we're going to use to thicken our sauces today. Another one is a slurry, which is an additional way to thicken sauces if you don't have butter and flour, or you're gluten-free, or you just don't have the time to make a roux. The other card you have is a basic velouté. What that is gravy. So from here on out, we are just going to call it gravy. We're going to make it easy. And the final one is Bechamel. It's going to be the same thing. That's cream sauce. So that's what we're going to go with. There are 5 mother sauces. So they are Bechamel, Espanol, tomato, Hollandaise, and velouté. Everybody knows what tomato sauce is. I'm not going to bother covering that. If you're a fan of brunch, you know what Hollandaise is. It goes on your eggs there. So you have brunch fans, all right. And the last one is an Espanol sauce. If you've ever been anywhere that you've had demi-glace, a real demi-glace, that is a 2 to 3 day sauce. We don't have that kind of time here, so I skipped that one. These are the 2 that I use at home most often, and you'd be able to do a myriad of things with them. So, do we have any questions? Nope. All right, so we're going to start. First thing you're going to want to do is we're going to make our roux. So if you guys want to have that card handy, because we will have some notes on that. So a roux is simply equal parts fat and flour cooked. It's used to thicken sauces and greases. When we say equal parts, it is by weight, because you're never going to be able to get an equal amount of a tablespoon of flour and a tablespoon of butter, especially if you're using that little guide on the stick of butter, because that wrapper's never right. So I did this by weight today. Not everybody has a scale, so my hope is that you're going to see what it looks like here, so when you go home and you do a tablespoon of flour and a tablespoon of butter, you can adjust when you see what it's actually supposed to look like. So we're going to start with a 1/2 ounce of butter and a 1/2 ounce of flour, which is going to give us 1 ounce of roux. 1 ounce of roux will thicken 1 cup of liquid. So if that's milk, stock, cream, whatever you'd like, that's your baseline. You can increase the amount to make it thicker or increase the amount of broth you're putting in to thin it out a little bit. It's all up to you. What I'm showing you is a very basic situation, so you can kind of take it from there. First thing you want to do is melt your butter. Of course, you don't want to burn it. Traditional roux uses a clarified butter, so there's no chance of burning. We're not going to clarify clarified butter at home. I never clarified butter at home. So we're just gonna melt it in the pan. You know, let it sizzle just a little bit. What that is that your water cooking out of your butter. Butter, depending on the type you get, is anywhere from 10 to 15% water. So when you're heating it and you start hearing the little sizzling and everything, that's when you know you can add your flour.
Do you use a certain one butter, or do you vary, just depend, whatever?
Just
whatever.
butter, yeah. If you're gluten-free or you're having somebody that's gluten-free, you can use gluten-free flours. They do work. It's just going to take a little adjusting kind of on the fly depending on what kind of flour you're using.
Do you use the salted or unsalted?
I use salted because it avoids a little more salt later, but either is fine. Yep. So now we can hear that simmering there a little bit. So we're going to add the flour and we're going to stir it. You don't want to whip this, and you don't want to beat it too aggressively. So the science behind this is that you're taking every little individual grain of flour and coating it with butter. So you're lubricating it, so once it gets into the sauce, it doesn't turn into your Aunt Martha's Thanksgiving gravy with clumps all over the shop. This is how you make a lump-free gravy.
Is there any advantage to adding the flour slowly?
Not really, no. Just as long as you're mixing it up and you kind of stay on it like this. We're going to cook this for just a couple minutes, and we're going to achieve what's called a white roux. There's a few different degrees of roux. We're going to use a white roux today, and there's also, if you cook it 5 to 7 minutes, it's a blonde roux. I think it's 5 to 7. And then you have a dark roux and a red roux. Dark roux are used for pan gravies and things like that we're not going to be doing. And red roux are used in Louisiana for gumbo and things like that, so we're not doing that either. You know your roux is doing well when you see the flour kind of starting to turn color, and it's going to be a little nutty smelling, so it's not going to smell like flour anymore. A little bit of a nutty smell to it.
Are you using just low heat?
Yep, actually this is medium heat, but yeah, low to medium. You don't want to burn your butter or burn your flour. That's the most important part. So the consistency here, what you're looking for is wet sand. So that's kind of when you're at home, you don't have a scale, and you're doing, you're eyeballing it and using that measurement on the stick of butter. So I'll come around and show you what this looks like, so that you can see kind of where you want to be at as far as the color and consistency goes. The longer you cook a roux, the less thickening power it has. So the roux we're going to use today is a white or close to blonde roux, has 4 times the thickening power of a red roux. So when they make gumbos and things, they use handfuls of it because it doesn't thicken very well. So here's what you're going to look like. And like I said, like wet sand. So it's holding on somewhat to what you're using to stir it with. So, and that's about the color you want. And when you smell it, I don't know if you can smell it from here, it kind of has a nuttier kind of smell.
Yeah, it does.
So this is going to be the base.
That's the blonde.
Yeah, this is a white to blonde, depending on the time you cook it.
It smells good.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than just flour. So there we go. So we have that now. And we're now going to set that off to the side for a minute. Very important thing when you're doing roux is you need a temperature difference between your roux and your liquid. It doesn't have to be a big difference. It just has to be somewhat of a difference. If you add hot liquid to hot roux, you get Aunt Martha's Thanksgiving gravy. It's going to heat up. It's going to just fall up on you. Conversely, you do not want to add cold liquid to a hot roux. You're essentially adding liquid into hot fat. So it's going to splatter, and it's a safety risk. You could very well burn yourself. The other thing you're gonna do with it is, Aunt Martha's gravy. It's just gonna tighten up on you. So what we need to do here is we need to convince 3 things that don't wanna play nicely together to play nicely together. The butter doesn't wanna hang out with the flour doesn't wanna be in the butter, and the liquid doesn't wanna be with either. So you wanna be gentle when you do this. Off the flame, you're gonna take your broth, and today we're gonna use chicken broth since a couple extra people came vegetarian, gluten-free. Anyone? No? Okay. Making sure one more time. So we have our 1 ounce of roux, and we're gonna add 1 cup of liquid to that. And this is just, you can see it's just Giant Eagle chicken broth. You can use broth, you can use stock, you can use bone broth, whatever you'd like. This is what I do at home because I don't always have stock hanging around. I'm not making it by the pot at home. So I use this. So slowly, I'm going to kind of add a little bit to this off the heat and begin stirring to incorporate it. So do a little bit at a time. Keep going to make sure it's not going to ball up on us. You want to make sure you're getting the edges of your pot there so that there's no roux hanging out in the edges. And then we're going to put it back on the flame. Or in this case, we're going to put it back on the heat. So now we're going to bring this up to a gentle simmer. Again, we're not trying to force all of this together, we're trying to convince it to stay together. If you are heating your roux too much, or if your heat is too high, your butter is going to separate from your flour, and after you put it together and then it separates again, it's done. You have to start over again. So you want to be very mindful that you're not heating it too much. The same thing happens when you add your liquid. If you start boiling the heck out of it like that, it's just all going to separate and you're done again. You have to start all over. So it's all a matter of getting everything just to play nicely together. You don't want to whip it or beat it or anything. You just want to convince it that it wants to be together and stay together. So with this is a very basic gravy that you can use on your chicken, whatever, your air fryer chicken, your roasted chicken, your grilled chicken, whatever you'd like. Substitute beef broth, you have beef gravy. Substitute vegetable broth if you're vegetarian, you have a vegetable gravy. From there, we can do a ton of different things, depending on what seasonings you like. If you want to throw some sun-dried tomatoes in there and let it simmer with some sun-dried tomatoes, or some roasted peppers, or whatever it is, whatever you have, you can put in here and kind of allow it to help flavor the gravy. So the heat you want this on is going to be medium to medium high. I worked for a chef for a very long time, and she would always say high heat is for 2 things, boiling water and burning things. So it's been ingrained in me over the 10 to 12 years that I worked with her. Never high heat, never high heat. Sometimes tendency to turn it up a little bit, and then I hear her in my head, you're going to burn it, you're not boiling it. So this is the same thing, you do not want to boil this. Does anybody have any questions yet?
The broth that you add, so just room temperature into hot roux is
Yes,
acceptable?
yes, room temperature is fine, because there is a temperature difference. And by allowing your roux to rest a minute and cool down just a little bit, that encourages everything to stay together, and you're not going to splatter back on yourself and burn yourself, because there's not many burns that are like a roux burn when you get a hot ball of flour and butter on your arm or on your hands. It's very uncomfortable. So the second sauce we are going to do as soon as this.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
When you say that could make ahead and store in the refrigerator for a month.
Yes.
Just the flour and butter?
Just the roux itself.
And then
Yes.
you leave it out at room temperature for a
Yeah,
while?
you want that to come to room temperature. You don't want to use a cold roux because
Okay.
it's going to be hard for you to whip out and to make it smooth. So you can use a stick of butter, quarter pound of butter, quarter pound of flour, mix it up, cook it 3 to 5 minutes, let it cool in their tight containers in the refrigerator, and then just pull it out as you need.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? No? All right. The other sauce that we're going to do along these lines is we're going to use a cornstarch slurry. So I will explain that while we're waiting for this to finish because it's going a little slow on me. So a slurry is just cornstarch and water. Very simple technique. What we're going to do is we're going to get some broth in the pot. We'll get that actually simmering first, and then we'll add the slurry to it. It's kind of the same concept as a roux, where you are coating all of your flour and butter to kind of, all of your flour and the butter to kind of smooth it out and allow it to actually thicken. It's the same thing. You're going to have water or any other liquid, just as long as it's cold. Hot liquid will cause your cornstarch to ball up, and you won't be able to get it smooth to use. So you can use cold water, you can use cold stock, you can use cold milk, you can use cold wine,
Colder than room temperature?
beer. I'm sorry?
Colder than room temperature?
Yeah, you can use room temperature, but cold is best. And then we're going to get it up to simmering, and we're going to add it, whipping that together to, we're going to kind of be a little more forceful with the cornstarch. It needs a little more convincing than the roux does. So, this. There we go. You know what helps? You hit the start button.
Done that with the crock pot.
We would have been here until 3 o'clock trying to figure that one out. So I don't know if you can tell, this is my first time doing this. So like I said, this is what I do at home. Recently, both of our kids moved out, so it has been a difficult adjustment for me cooking for 2 people. So going over this really helped because it really helped me to judge. I'm used to cooking I'm from an Italian family, so I'm either cooking for 400 or nobody. So there's been a lot of talk at the center, people wanting me to do classes for cooking for 2. And I said, I don't know how to do that. I would have to research that. So this was a fantastic start to that. And hopefully in the future, we'll continue to do things, and I will learn just as much about this just before I teach you about it. I'm currently doing little Wednesday night classes with my son as well, because he just recently turned 25 and decided he wanted to learn how to cook. So all those years I wanted to teach you, and you lived here, and you said, no, you move out suddenly, your girlfriend convinces you want to learn to cook. Conversely, my daughter is 20, and she can make you a 5-course Italian meal with her eyes closed. So.
Well, that's good he wants to learn though.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Tonight we're doing pasta and ravioli with sauce. So.
What time should we be there? You don't have to cook for 2.
If you need samples,
All right, well, I'll keep that in mind. All right, so since I actually hit the start button now, this is now coming to a bit of a simmer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around and let everybody taste this, if you'd like, because this isn't going to taste great. It's not going to taste bad, but this is kind of a waypoint, and at this point, this is not done. It tastes like flour and and
And
chicken
broth.
stock. So if you'd like to give it a taste at this point, you can. Sure. And it's just started to thicken just a little bit. So we'll continue to do that. And continuing to cook it is going to do two things. It's going to thicken the sauce, and it's also going to remove whatever flour flavor is still included.
It's very good already.
Oh, good, good. It's still kind of thin, so this isn't our final destination. This is just a stop on the way.
It does taste good. Already.
Anyone who could just didn't want to believe on the food.
I got more.
We're just teasing.
After I left the doctor, I said, you're off the wait list, call this number, and I called the number, and they said, call a different number, and I thought, just
Well, I doubt
somebody canceled.
You know, to the lecture of maker grade. This is basically the design.
That's all I'm saying.
Because I'll make this basically when I make the combo, but I make the red. And so the longest and the grits. And so, and it's just to help kind of coagulate, like say for instance, over the weekend I made.
Julie?
I did not have any flour. Which would have worked because it was tiny flour.
Right, I'm assuming we're not reading.
And so I didn't coagulate my bottom of my,
Okay, so that's kind of our, the point we're at now, where it's simmered for a minute, and so it still has that bit of flour flavor, and it's not yet quite thickened. You can, certainly use it at this point if you'd like, but, recommend just another minute or two of simmering, and it is going to be a much better product.
Did you add your seasonings now then, or would you wait till
well,
it's done?
Usually I will, but the other thing I would like to do today is show everybody the power of just a little bit of salt.
Oh,
Just a little bit. Because a lot of people just really don't understand, not saying to any of you, I don't know how you deal with salt, but in my experience, a lot of people just don't understand what salt really does. It doesn't have a flavor, it enhances flavor, and just a little bit of it can make a world of difference. So even if you have issues with salt and things, as long as you're staying away, I'm a chef, not a doctor, as long as you're staying away from a lot of the processed foods, canned soups, ready-to-eat things, using salt day to day is okay. I also recommend not using Morton salt. Any kind of pink salt, sea salt, Himalayan mountain salt, whatever it is, anything but Morton salt. Even kosher salt.
Why?
Well, just because there's nothing left in it. So in this, if you can see, there's different colors. Those different colors are actual minerals, and those are gonna add flavor and give you minerals that you actually need in your diet. It's also a nicer consistency. So if you're using a pinch of this, it's actually more. It will add more flavor but less sodium than a pinch of Morton salt, which is going to be actually more. All right, so we are looking pretty good with how this is thickened up. So I'm going to put just a touch of salt in, and then I'll bring it around again, and then we will finish it up.
Chef?
Yeah.
We did have a question. Oh, Salt Bay, yes. We did have a question as I was going around the room. Could you give some examples of uses for the basic roux? That's just a thickening?
It is just for thickening. Yep.
In soup or?
Soups, sauces, and gravies.
Okay.
So whatever you're thickening, if you can start off with a roux, like when I make soups at the center that are thicker cream soups, things like that, I start with sauteing the vegetables in butter, and then add my flour, cook it out, and then add the liquid, and that's the base for the soups.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Could you give me a hand? So now this should have the flavor, the flour flavor should be cooked out. And just adding just a little bit of salt really changes it up.
Would you like to try?
So it's just that little bit of salt elevates it, and it,
Oh, yeah.
I just did a little pinch,
I
and
know,
that's it.
didn't-
Yeah, I didn't add a tablespoon, didn't add, not even an eighth of a teaspoon.
So kosher salt's good too?
Yeah, you can use kosher salt. But the best ones are, like I said, like a sea salt or a Himalayan pink salt, things like that.
That was my question too with the soup, because some of your soups that are not cream soups, but they're thick, like,
Yes.
it's the roux, or does it matter, can you use slurry, does it matter?
You can use slurry, but the thing is slurry is not gonna hold up as well. When you, the more heat you apply to a slurry, the thinner it's actually gonna get. So you don't wanna do too much with it.
Well, I know what you did here.
This one, velouté, we use the Roux to thicken.
So this is the
Have you had
velouté.
soups?
Gravy.
Oh, yeah.
Is basically what it is.
So if a recipe calls for kosher salt, thicker salt, what do you
If
do?
it's a kosher salt or something, that's what you're looking for. Yeah. Anything that's not anything you can pull out of a
How about
shaker.
the grinder?
Yeah, you can use those.
Oh, I got it.
I've never seen a grinder with
I
Himalayan
can
salt
throw
in
it
it though.
Oh, they have, you know where they have the craziest place? Marshalls.
Marshalls?
Yeah, home sense too. Have what?
That is
Grinders.
crazy.
Yeah.
Graders?
It's like
Grinders.
don't
Oh,
shove it.
sea salt and pepper grinders, a lot of times they're one on top of the other, separate.
Okay, there you
And
go.
then you just buy the salt
And we're
and
gonna do
pepper.
one last round here with just a pinch of thyme,
Which one is this?
just a little bit of black pepper.
He said this one was velouté. Oh, that's what he told me.
A little bit, just a touch of garlic powder
Slurry one.
and onion powder. This is the gravy, this is the velouté.
Oh, this is.
We're still there. This is gonna be the last run with this.
Oh, okay.
Onion powder and garlic powder.
So then I'll bring this around one more time so everybody can kind of taste the last, kind of what would be your finished product.
So this
Yeah,
is
the
the
powder,
grinder.
Yes, Or,
Get more salt.
I like pretending I speak other
that's,
languages.
All right, and so here we have it, it's kind of, it's nice and smooth, it's coating the spatula like that, so
Call me, I'll be right there.
this is kind of what you're
So
finishing.
excited to play.
I just put in a little bit of thyme, a little bit of garlic powder, onion powder, and black pepper. Yep. Now you can use any herbs you want, oregano, rosemary, sage. Yeah, it's from my garden.
And what did you add?
Thyme.
Very nice.
Yeah, I haven't bought a dried herb in decades.
Yeah, I have some from last year I'm still using in a bottle, so.
Oh, no.
You're welcome.
Garrett on the
big
bar.
ones
You
you
can
take
take
yours.
some.
Either way, it doesn't matter, it's just gonna, what you add later. This is still the velouté, now this is the finished product. So we've done, so this is it, it's kind of like seasonings in it, and kind of our final stop on
Like, I don't know which.
the road to gravy. can put this on your chicken, your potatoes.
So you put in garlic, onion,
Garlic powder, salt, pepper, and thyme.
Doesn't, oh, I can
But you
smell
can
it.
do whatever, whatever you want. I am a huge fan of thyme. If you've ever been to the center and had any soup, you've had thyme. Put it in almost all.
I smell it.
Not to give it away or anything.
Yeah.
It's
a great herb.
That's very good.
That is good. and
It
it's
smells good. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I like that one.
Oh, that's really good. It does taste good.
Do you have a turkey over there?
All right.
Yeah, really. There's some chicken, some bacon.
All right, so real quick here, I'm gonna do
Excuse me.
slurry version of this. So if you don't have flour at home, or you don't have time, this is gonna take, if you don't have actual physical time up here, this is gonna be a good option for you because this takes about as long as it takes for the liquid to simmer, to make. So just a few minutes on this, and as long as I hit start, it'll be just a few minutes. So this, you want to simmer your liquid, and we're going to take 1 tablespoon cornstarch. Combine it with a tablespoon of cold liquid.
You add the liquid to the cornstarch or the other way around?
Usually, yes, I will add the liquid to the cornstarch because
Otherwise,
you're asking for a little bit of issue the other way around.
So you measured that, did you weigh in instead?
No, with a slurry, it's fine to just do
Okay, got it.
tablespoon and tablespoon. And now, having said cold liquid, I'm going to go ahead and use a room temperature liquid, so. But it's okay, as long as it's not hot. It's when the liquid is hot that your slurry will seize up and you won't be able to use it. So, the slurry, the cornstarch does not want to sit in the liquid. So if you make this even just a couple minutes before your sauce simmers, you want to mix it again. And then just before you add it to your liquid, you want to mix it again, just to make sure it's all there, because it immediately starts separating. There's nothing holding this together. So, see, when you turn it on, it starts to simmer almost. So what you're going to get when you do this is kind of it's going to be more of a gel or a glaze kind of consistency. And it's not going to be as deep and rich as a roux-based gravy will be, but it's going to take you far less time. And if it's a gluten issue or an ingredient issue where maybe you don't have flour or butter, this is a great option. So we have a aggressively simmering liquid, and you're going to start whisking before you add. And then you're just going to drizzle, just very little while you whisk. So it's probably going to take you longer to add the cornstarch, to add the slurry, than it is any other part of this process. So now this we won't taste over and over again here, but I will bring it around so you can see the consistency. This is an instant thicken. So as soon as you've added your slurry and you've got the thick consistency, you want to remove it from the heat. It's like I said earlier, excessive heat is going to cause it to thin out, and then you're just going to have to add more, and then you're going to have a real starchy sauce. So you can kind of see how it's thicker there, but it just kind of looks like a glaze. So it's not going to have that nutty flavor that we had with the roux. It's it's literally just gonna taste like the chicken broth. So, but
It's
it's
like
quickly.
melted butter, like melted butter.
The other thing about cornstarch is,
It's got
slurry, is
the
you don't really
gel.
wanna hold this sauce for too terribly long, and you don't wanna reheat it. Because to reheat it, you're gonna have to apply too much heat to it, and it's just gonna make it all blended
So
and
one
things.
and done, huh?
So yeah, one and done kind of situation. Now, if you do have a little bit of butter lying around or a little bit of milk lying around, and it's not an issue of somebody being a vegan, so you don't want to use butter or milk, and you have the butter around, what you can do is take just a little bit of the butter, and while it's simmering, and just a little, just a butter. You know, it's really hard when you work daily doing this and you don't measure anything, to actually give accurate measurements. And then also just a splash of milk. So now, while it's still, if we're tasting it, it's still got that glaze consistency, but now it's gonna be a little deeper and a little closer to what you have when we did our roux than what we had 15 seconds ago. So this is gonna have more of a feel.
You could use wine?
You can use wine, yep. If you're doing, if you wanna do like a white wine chicken sauce or red wine beef.
So red would be red wine and
Yeah, you could use red wine, you can use, so a lot of times in restaurants, we've used lemon juice. Because if you're finishing with a lemon, or, you wanna have that lemon flavor or something, it's an easy transport for the cornstarch, and you're not adding any additional liquid to the sauce that you're putting in the pan, so.
And how would you use that with the wine? What would you?
You would use the wine in place with your slurry. So it'd be a tablespoon of wine, tablespoon of
What
cornstarch,
dish would you pair that with?
whatever you like.
Oh,
So if that's kind of where you want to go with your dinner that night, if you're doing, say you do a roasted chicken, and you want to have a little, like a white wine gravy kind of thing, you can put it in there. Otherwise, when we did the roux, you can add it with your broth, maybe most of a cup of broth and the rest of it with wine, and you're good to go there.
it's tasty.
So, yeah, it's just an option that allows you to do something
If I
different.
make a comment in response to that, I've used I've made the roux, the gravy of the red wine with leg of lamb.
Oh,
There you go.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, so any slurry questions? Anything else? Nope. All right, we're gonna move on to the last one, which is bechamel or cream sauce. This is gonna be your base for anything cream-based. So if you wanna do a cream soup, if you wanna do macaroni and cheese, if you wanna do a cheese sauce for your broccoli, if you want to do broccoli cheese soup, biscuits and gravy. This is how you're going to start with a bechamel or cream sauce. Yes.
Did you use the sauce when you made the last week, the sausage gravy?
Biscuits and gravy bread? Yes,
That was
this is
fantastic.
pretty much what I did. So when I do a biscuits and gravy, it is, I would do the butter. At this point, I throw in onions. Throw in flour, make the roux, we end up making the bechamel, and then there you go. Sorry, I skipped the sausage, the most important part.
It was delicious.
It was,
So-
I tried it, yeah. I went for soup and then they had that for sale, so I thought,
I went to the breakfast for a minute. Yeah, we talked about the rest
So
of
we're gonna
the
make our roux here, and...
There's a few of us that break that ceiling, they're like two women, they're all men.
Quite used to the cart.
No, I'm sorry.
All right, so Same thing, this is your basic roux now that you're gonna make. You're gonna start off with that. Same way we did before. This was a little high, so I cooked it a little quickly, but it's still gonna work. And same concept applies where you wanna make sure you let it rest for a minute so that you're not adding a cold liquid to hot fat and splattering yourself and then shattering the sauce. We're gonna have to be just a little bit more careful with the bechamel than we were with the velouté, with cream sauce than the gravy, because there are more factors that play with the milk. Instead of just having a broth, now what we have is we have milk solids, we have milk fats, and we have a liquid. So now you're trying to get 5 things to play together nicely instead of 3. You want to use, I recommend using whole milk, half and half, something like that. You can use 2%. You could even use 1% or skim, but it's not going to come out the same. The milk fats really help give you that texture and that heft that you need for a sauce. It's like a macaroni and cheese or something. And that's kind of the direction we're going to go today. I have a little bit of cheese here, so we'll just do a quick, we'll end up making a morée sauce. Oh, who's excited about that? We're going to make cheese sauce. All those French people and stuck all those fancy words into the culinary tradition. A lot of people get scared off by those. I've always said cooking is not nearly as complicated as people make it look. But if we make it look complicated, you keep coming back to us to do it. So, you know, it's kind of a good business model. So the same thing with the velouté, you're going to be off to the side when you're adding your milk. And just little by little, I'm going to go. And then this is going to be the same where you're going to have that flour flavor and you're going to have to simmer it very gently now as opposed to how we did before to make sure that everything comes together and plays nicely. So I'm going to put back on the heat. Let's start. And we will simmer this. Now if you're making a macaroni and cheese, say, and you want to do it like this from scratch, today we have, I just said to get a bag of cheese. If you can use a block of cheese and grate it, it's going to be a lot better. This is going to have just a little bit of grit to it because of what they use to make sure it doesn't cake together. Usually you'll see it, it's like cellulose, which is basically, it's wood. It's sawdust. Yeah. It's the same, and it's the same thing that
You're never gonna eat it again.
they cut, we call it in our house, we call it dirty parm. The shakers of Parmesan,
Yeah.
because that is close to half, if not more, cellulose. So there's just been huge lawsuits over its existence first off, because Italy doesn't want it to be allowed to be called Parmesan cheese. So even what you get from there, a lot of times when it's imported, it's brought in and then it's brought here and then it's cut with that just to make sure it doesn't cake together, because it's too hard for you to whack it on the counter and break it up if you want to break up your Parmesan cheese. So for some reason they're allowed to do that. But when you have, if you look, the thicker, this is a thicker shredded cheese, so you're not really going to have, this uses tapioca starch and potato starch. So that's not too bad, but it's still going to kind of, you're still going to get that kind of grit with it. So if you can shred the block of cheese on your own, it's much better.
I read in the Plain Dealer last week, they said you should also put a little Velveeta or some kind of Kraft cheese in with your parm. And it said, you will thank me for that. And I'm like, oh.
Who am I to dispute the Plain Dealer?
I forget who the author was.
Yeah, you know what, so what that will do is it will make it creamier. You'll get
Maybe that's.
you'll get a more of a feel of it in your mouth and things, but then you're also adding shelf-stable cheese product. It's not actual cheese. And anything that can sit on a shelf like that.
You don't like Velveeta, we can see that.
The funny thing is it is a gigantic source of point of contention in my family. We don't really have American cheese or Velveeta or anything like that. No, it's just I don't like all the chemicals in it, so I kind of tend to stay away. Processed cheese, food product. So, if I can use like a smoked cheddar or a Gouda or something like that,
Gouda's a good milk.
that's what I'm going to go for over that. But yeah, it's pan spray and Velveeta are two things that are debated hotly between family members. So yeah,
So do you-
like pan.
So do you grate your own Parmesan, and then do you
Yes.
keep it in the refrigerator, or do you just do it as
I
needed?
I just get the wedges and grate as I need. Yeah. My son, when he was in high school, after he graduated, when he was in college, he worked a little bit in Olive Garden, which I know my grandfather looked down with disapproval. But, job's a job. And he got, he was using what they do there with that thing. So we do a Christmas dinner in which we do 2 full wedges of Parmesan. We actually get the Parmesan Reggiano, so we get the good stuff, and it goes in the meatballs and the brajol and on the side. It takes a long time to grate that by hand. So he said, you know what, for Christmas, here you guys go. Here's when he went out and bought one. We used it exactly once because it is far harder to clean than it is to just use a box grater and go to town.
Exactly.
I'd rather do that any day of the week, but God bless him for thinking of us. So when he's around, it does get used. It'll be used tonight, I'm sure. And then I will take 45 minutes to clean it out there.
So where do you get your cheese? You go to Gasagallucci?
No, honestly, I just go to usually Hyman's. I don't, unless I find myself in the area somewhere like Gallucci's, I will definitely stop in.
Yeah.
There's I was just telling the story today, I grew up down in the Youngstown area, and there's a little deli down there called Jimmy's, and it is fantastic. They have any kind of Italian cheese or food you want, it's there. And in the back, there's 7, 8, 9 nonas back there making the cavatello, making the pasta, making the ravioli, and you can tell the granddaughters are at the counters, the grandsons are loving the show. It's just a great place. So when I'm down there, I stop there and I get a bunch of stuff. But I don't, it's not too often I get there.
What is it called again?
Jimmy's.
Jimmy's?
Yeah.
In Youngstown?
Yeah, on Belmont Avenue, just off of 80. I believe second to last exit on 80 before Pennsylvania.
Is it a deli or a grocery or?
Kind of both.
Oh.
And you can get hot foods there, you can get pizza, you can get, your boxes of arborio, or, it's the only place they use, I don't know if we have any Italians or outside. Cardoons. That's the only place I've ever seen them.
Yeah.
So it's.
All I ever heard was, you don't know what's good. If I had the wrong thing. You don't know what's good.
So, all right, now we've been pretty gentle with this. I'm gonna bring this around and show everybody. So that's the kind of thickness you're looking for. If you're just gonna use this as a sauce for something, like maybe your chicken or something, you're gonna season it. You can go a little thicker than this. I went with just a little bit more milk this
It took a
time.
long time, I mean,
Yeah,
this
this
is gentle.
one takes a bit longer, but it's kind of the consistency. We took kind of milk and made it just a little thicker than heavy cream. And the reason it is not any thicker, the reason it's not gravy thick right now, is because I did add just a little bit more milk than a cup, because we're gonna be adding cheese to it. So that's gonna thicken it up more, and you don't want to, over thicken it if you're making, say, macaroni and cheese. If you wanna bake it, fantastic. Usually what I do is at this point, I will season this with my 3 favorite things: salt, onion powder, and garlic powder. And we'll add, you want to add a little less salt with this because you are adding the cheese, which will also have a bit of a saltiness to it, depending on what kind of cheese you're using.
Onion powder and garlic powder, did you
Yep.
say?
Yes, ma'am, those are my 3 favorite things: salt, onion powder, and garlic powder. And I try to make my own onion powder and garlic powder when I can, but that takes a long time.
Oh, yeah.
God made onion powder.
Yeah, you gotta dehydrate it, and then, it's.
I'm learning a lot to.
I dry all of my own herbs, so I figure that's good enough. So we're gonna let this, I'm gonna taste this just to make sure that we're on the right track and that there is little to no flour flavor in there. So you see how it's coating the spoon there? That's what you're looking for. So that's your basic gravy or cream sauce consistency. There's no more flour flavor to it. So at that point, we can turn it off.
It's such an art, isn't it?
I think. All right. And then you can add as much cheese as you desire. I am not going to tell you how cheesy or not cheesy to make your macaroni and cheese. So here we're just going to add about a pinch for that. And now we can bring it around for everybody to kind of taste. You will want to, like I said, if you're going to bake this, you're going to want to make it even a little bit thinner. And in the time we made this sauce at home, you have more than one burner, so you can have your macaroni going. Drain your macaroni. Do not rinse it. You put it right into this sauce and just toss it around. You either at that point have a very creamy, cheesy macaroni and cheese, or you can go into a casserole dish, top it with a little bit more cheese, breadcrumbs, Fritos, whatever you like to top your macaroni and cheese with, and pop it in the oven for a little bit. This is also a good substitute if you have a recipe that has cream of something soup. This is a good way to go where you are not getting all of that sodium and all of that stuff from a canned soup. So really the only sodium in here is coming from the cheese and the pinch of salt that we added. And hopefully it's all right because I didn't get to try it after we put the cheese on it.
I started raising my hand here.
Oh, no.
So this is just slightly cheesy.
Yeah, not over much.
Oh, you all right there?
Unless you're a really big cheesy person.
Yeah.
You're welcome. And again, cheddar is just a basic thing. Smoked cheddar, Gouda,
Delicious.
whatever you're feeling, whatever you have even.
Is this just mild cheddar?
I think I got sharp.
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 Oh, you're the shepherd? Thank you.
I do at the center I occasionally do, and will be coming up as we come into the Lenten season, a sweet potato macaroni and cheese.
Ooh.
I was not expecting that. And what it is essentially this, well, I'm sorry, not this,
Makes a good bar.
it's a velouté. It's a gravy. So I start with a vegetable broth and thicken it just like we just did. And then once we get kind of towards the end, I will have baked off some sweet potatoes. And then I'll put the sweet potatoes in there and let that simmer together for a little bit and then puree that. And what that does is that it lessens the need for so much roux. So you're cutting down on your butter, you're cutting down on your flour. It adds the wonderful flavor of sweet potatoes, makes it a bright orange color. And then once all that's pureed, that's when I add the cheese, and then we're done. And the seasoning, and you're good to go. So in about 20 minutes, you can make homemade macaroni and cheese and just be done. And there it is. You didn't use any can of cream of anything. It didn't come out of a box. So it's much better for you. You have much more control over what's in it, how it's seasoned, and all that fun stuff.
Do you use elbow macaroni?
For my macaroni and cheese, yeah, or whenever I have mine. But there's some things that, you know, you just don't want to get away from necessarily. So yeah, I do use elbow macaroni. So, hopefully, I was able to teach you guys a couple things here. Hopefully there's stuff you can take home with you and use in your day-to-day or week-to-week. And yeah, thank you, everybody, for coming out. I appreciate it.